So how do you play Tools and Titans? Easy. Draw your cards, charge your energy, build your field, act with your powers, clash with your Titans, end your turn. 6 steps, 1 epic battle. All right, another spark, and another build. From blueprint to battle, we're with you. Today we're tackling something big. We know the 6 basic steps of a turn. Draw, charge, build, act, clash, end. Simple, right? But what happens when the game itself tries to break every single one of those steps?
That's where we're going today. Beyond the originators of Rustborn corruption, beyond the Trinity, we delve into the mass replication of Entropy. We're talking about the corrupted mirror of the game's core pantheon, the Rustborn 12.
The Rustborn 12. These aren't singular catastrophes like we've seen before. This is a calculated unraveling of trade itself. The weaponized inverse of the 12 main titans.
Exactly. To understand them, you have to forget the idea of a noble fall from grace. The Rustborn 12 are corrupted reflections. But they weren't individuals who fell. They were forged. They are unstable anti-entities, mass-produced, and fueled by corrosion, sabotage, and what the designers call anti-craft logic.
Anti-craft? So they're literally built to unbuild. What does that look like in practice? What are these inversions?
Think of it as a perversion of purpose. Ferrum, the titan of the forge, whose essence is overdrive metal, is mirrored by Cindergast, whose essence is volatile combustion. Creation becomes destruction.
And Aquarius, the master of hydraulics,
becomes Sludrise. Hydraulic pressure becomes toxin pressure. The force that moved a civilization now chokes it with poison. The pattern is consistent. Masonix's stonework becomes Fracturon's fracture engine. Drafter's perfect blueprints become Moltreave's melted diagrams that lead you nowhere.
So it's a complete philosophical takedown of every core trade.
A precise and deliberate one. Even something as complex as timekeeping, the domain of Machinera, is corrupted into Glitchvane, an entity of phase corruption. It doesn't just break machines, it breaks causality.
Where and when did this army of decay come from?
They were manufactured during an event in the lore called the Scorch Heart Repetition. It was described as an arcane techno-ritual. The Rustborn forces used corrupted blueprints of the main 12 to essentially mass-produce living decay programs.
So they weren't born, they were compiled. Using forged DNA, corrupted relics, and the psychic residue from desecrated shrines. That is dark.
It is. And that process dictated where they dwell. Each of the Rustborn 12 infests a shadow version of their origin zone, a twisted reflection. Cindergast was forged in the Black Crucible, a forge pit that burns but never creates. Sludrise haunts the Pipewaste Delta, turning a once vital aquifer into a toxic ruin.
And Fracturon, the one that shatters foundations?
It dwells in the cracked foundation basin, a vast landscape of imploded, half-finished structures. Each of these zones is a nightmare, often serving as a PvE battlefield or an invasion launch point in the game's campaigns. They are scars on the world, a constant reminder of the inversion.
Which brings us to the big question for players. Why do they matter? Why introduce 12 new corrupted characters?
Because they introduce a completely new way to play. They give Rustborn decks incredible versatility with zone pressure, field control, and mechanical disruption. They are the antithesis bosses, each one designed specifically to counter their original Titan version. So they provide modular deck archetypes, new entropy loops, new ways to disrupt tasks. It's not just lore, it's a massive expansion of the game's mechanics.
They are the mechanized rot of civilization. And in the game, that rot is a tool for the player to wield. Entropy, weaponized by memory and mimicry.
It's a lot to take in, but the creators always bring it back to the core game loop, the fundamental structure of a single turn.
Because that's what the Rustborn are built to attack. Every action has a reaction. And for them, every step of the turn is an opportunity to corrupt. Let's just refresh that for everyone. The 6 steps.
Every Titan turn, draw,
Charge,
building,
act,
clash,
end. 6 steps.
infinite ways to forge your victory, or to have it dismantled before your eyes.
Okay, so let's get into that. How do they actually operate in a match? Let's go deeper on the core systems of the Rustborn 12.
Let's start with Scorch Echo Cards. These are the most direct reflection of their corrupted nature. A Tool Titan might have a card called Reinforced Structure that gives a building more health. The Scorch Echo version might be called Crumbling Structure, a card you play on your opponent's building that causes it to lose health each turn.
So it's a direct mirror, but with a harmful effect.
Exactly. Then you have Field Denial mechanics. This is about making the board itself hostile to your opponent. Zaptross, the corrupted electrician, can create a feedback static field. Any player who generates more than a certain amount of energy in a turn takes damage. It punishes ambition.
And breakthrough sabotage? You said it was about timing.
It is. It's about interrupting the resolution of an opponent's action. Think of Crankvile, the corrupted mechanist. It might have a trap card that triggers when an opponent plays a tool card. The trap resolves first, forcing the opponent to discard a card from their hand, maybe the very card they needed to combo with the tool they just played. It creates uncertainty and breaks combos before they can start.
That's devious. What about the last 2? Self-Decay and Rust tokens.
This is the risk-reward system of the Rustborn. Many of their most powerful cards have a self-decay cost. You get a huge effect, but you also have to place a Scorch token on one of your own zones, or take a little damage. This power comes at a price.
And the tokens create loops?
Yes, they create Rust token loops. Some cards get stronger the more Scorch is on the board. On either side. Others allow you to move Scorch tokens around, from your zones to your opponent's, stacking penalties on a single target. It turns the entire board into a toxic ecosystem that the Rustborn player learns to manipulate.
A very different way of thinking about the game. Let's make this even more concrete. Let's walk through more of these Rustborn Titans, one by one.
Let's do it. We mentioned Cindergast, the corrupted Ferrum. Its focus is burn triggers from tool deployment. The more your opponent builds their board, the more passive damage they take. It's a clock that speeds up the more your opponent tries to advance their own game plan.
Okay, who's next? Sludrise.
The corrupted Aquarius. Sludrise is all about toxin flood and momentum corrosion. It places sludge counters on enemy titans. These counters don't do damage directly, but they reduce the Titan's speed and power, and some of Sludrice's cards have massive bonus effects against sludged targets. It's a slow, inevitable decay.
And Fracturon, the echo of the stonemason Masonics.
Fracturon focuses on structure destruction and zone crumbling. It excels at destroying the opponent's buildings and fortifications. More than that, it has abilities that permanently reduce the number of structures a player can have on the field. It literally crumbles the foundations of their strategy.
What about a really disruptive one? Crankvile.
The Mirror of Mechanior, the master of precision. Crankvile's gameplay is jammed precision. It's the master of cast interference and combo interruption. It's filled with those breakthrough sabotage traps we talked about. Playing against Crankvile means nothing is guaranteed. Every action you take could be the trigger for one of its traps.
I see 2 more that seem connected. Barrivex and Hackrylix. One animates wreckage, the other corrupts signals.
They work together beautifully in a specific archetype. Barrivex, the echo of Constructus, is a wreck golemancer. It pulls destroyed tools and structures from the discard pile, the junkyard, and turns them into corrupted summons. Hackrylix, the echo of the signal crafter Technius, feeds into this. Its focus is corrupted signal. It has abilities that can force an opponent to discard their powerful tools, sending them right to the junkyard for Barrivex to reanimate on your side.
So they turn the opponent's own deck against them. That sounds incredibly powerful. What are the ultimate weaknesses then?
Their greatest strength, disruption, is tied to their greatest weakness. They are heavily reliant on Scorch tokens and corrupted zones. If you can keep the board clean, their engines can stall out.
So you can fight back with cleanse decks. Decks built around the preservants or purified echo factions must be a direct counter.
They are. It's a core part of the meta balance. Another weakness is that heavy rust debt. We mentioned self-decay. If you overuse that power without a way to purge the debt, you can actually burn yourself out. And finally, mirror play fragility. In a Rustborn versus Rustborn matchup, their abilities can backfire. Their own decay engines can be turned against them.
So this leads to whole new strategies. Let's break down those playstyle archetypes.
Of course, we have burnout control. This uses titans like Cindergast and Zaptross. The goal is to stack damage over time and force miscasts. You aren't trying to win in a single big attack. You're trying to win by making every action your opponent takes painful.
And the one you just mentioned? The Tool Reanimator.
That uses Barrivex and Hackrylix. The strategy is to reuse enemy cards from the junkyard against them. It's a control deck that wins by attrition, using the opponent's own best resources to secure victory.
What about a more aggressive style?
That would be Corruption Tempo. This archetype uses Zaptross and Sludrise. It's all about applying early pressure through repeated zone fouling. You corrupt the field quickly, forcing your opponent into bad trades, while your titans who thrive in corrupted zones gain an advantage.
And finally, how does this all fit into the game's story? Their narrative function.
Each of the Rustborn 12 is a chapter boss in a PvE campaign. They are central to storylines like the Twelvefold Reversal, where you have to defeat each one in its lair. They also appear in the Echo of the Rustwheel War campaign, showing their first emergence.
And they're playable?
Yes, in specific modes. There's an Entropy draft format where you build decks using a mix of Tool Titan and Rustborn cards. There's a full Corruption campaign mode where you play as the Rustborn, and they are a major force in Rustvale PvP events. They represent this chilling industrial horror, replication without ethics, and the death of craftsmanship through corrupted automation.
It's a powerful idea. Not just an enemy you fight, but a system that is fundamentally designed to make your own actions fail. A dark reflection of the very trades that built the world of tools and titans.
And that's the takeaway. The Rustborn 12 are the perfect antagonists for a game about building and craft. They are the mechanized rot of civilization, entropy, given a terrifying, repeatable form. They force players to not just think about how to build, but how to protect what they've built from a system designed from the ground up to unravel it.
A powerful lesson then. In every match, your strategy, your very tradecraft is put to the test.
And it all unfolds in those 6 simple moves:
Draw,
charge,
building,
act,
clash,
end,
simplicity for the novice.
mastery for the titan.